ton. I've taught her a ton. And we've become good friends. And Sean has a very interesting background, not only an amazing sports enthusiast as a triathlete and an Ironman competitor, but somebody that is also double board certified as a neuroradiologist. She trained at the University of Florida and at Tufts New England Medical Center, former chief resident at the University of Florida Shands Jacksonville Diagnostic Radiology Program, and the former chief of neuroradiology at the USAF Keesler Medical Center in Biloxi. More importantly, guys, she's a mom of two amazing young boys, 16 and 8-year-old teenage boys, and has an amazing rock star marriage with Dr. John Day McKee, who's a gastroenterologist. Sean is going to be diving into really the LifeVantage science and really the granular aspect of what these products are doing on a molecular level inside of people's body. And there's nobody better to explain it than Dr. Sean McKee. So Dr. Sean, I'm so glad that you're here. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Rachel. That was a very lovely introduction. I really appreciate it. And yes, we are learning from each other. I love your communication skills and the way you can get this out to the masses, because people really need to know this. In fact, about 7 years ago, you know, as you might imagine, running Ironman triathlons, being a busy full-time neuroradiologist, married to a gastroenterologist with two busy boys, and running marathons and ultra marathons, I was kind of burning the candle at, as I like to say, all 12 ends. And so something had to give, and it was my health. I became exhausted, and that was not okay for my husband, my kids, my family, my life, you know, myself. I didn't want to be just worn out and not have any gusto. And that's basically what I was. I had no vitality. I was kind of like meh at the end of the day. And so my sweet husband suggested I see this anti-aging doctor. And, you know, she put me on all the traditional antioxidants and, you know, extracts and, you know, L-theanine and olive leaf extract and ginkgo biloba and all the things you read about in the health magazines. And you know, even I would go to see an herbalist, and I was just trying to get upstream of what was going wrong with my body that was kind of exposed to a lot of oxidation. My coach called me the oxidizer, because I would do a CrossFit class, make sure my name was at the top of the board, you know, for having done the most wall balls or burpees or whatever. And then when I would go run 12 miles before work, right? Mm-hmm. So he's like, "You're the oxidizer." And I was like, "Yeah, haha. Oh, that means I'm rusty." So when my doctor, after I complained to her about taking so many pills and not feeling any better, when she told me this went upstream, what she said was it reduced oxidative stress. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But I first want to talk about why I was feeling exhausted. Okay. Not only was I, you know, running around like a, you know, crazy woman, but, you know, we live today in a very toxic world. We're exposed to things that, you know, electromagnetic radiation, fumes from diesel fuel and at the gas pump, and aviation fuel, you know, jet fuel, allergens, you know, pollutants, in, you know, chlorine in our water, fluoride in our drinking water, you name it. Our bodies are being hijacked today. And that's why once I passed that point where my body was unable to keep up with that assault, and I tipped over into this overwhelm, you know, that was it. Everything started to kind of malfunction. And what my doctor ended up telling me about was a way to biohack my genes to really optimize the genetic potential that I was born with and become the best version of myself. And that's really what I did through the use of something called nutrigenomics. And that's a big word that just means research on how nutrients and the natural compounds can affect our genes. So, you know, you probably know this, but a person who eats a diet that is rich in green leafy vegetables, for instance, organic foods, and vegan, and maybe only grass-fed meats, and really a nice assortment of all the food groups, is going to have a different gene expression than someone that eats a McDonald's Happy Meal every day, or a quarter pounder with cheese and fries. Those may even be twins. You can have the same genetic code, but the one that eats that processed, highly inflammatory diet is going to express those genes that do all kinds of things that cause cancer and inflammation. And the one that eats a healthy diet is going to express the salubrious genes, the ones that benefit the health. And so you know, in the past, all we've been able to do is really supplement. You take antioxidant vitamins, you supplement with minerals. You're just guessing. Well, you may be low in this or that magnesium. We're probably all deficient in magnesium, and that does need to be supplemented. But with, you know, with taking supplements, just over-the-counter supplements from GNC and Rite Aid and Walgreens and Walmart, you may have noticed in the news lately that a lot of the things that you think you're buying in these bottles aren't actually in the bottles. There's a huge expose about, you know, you buy a product, you think it's ginkgo biloba, and it's really rice flour. Well, God forbid somebody's allergic to one of the things that they put in those pills that isn't supposed to be in there. You just can't trust your body to guess and just throw a bunch of supplements at it like I was doing 7 years ago. There's new science, there's breakthroughs, there's peer-reviewed published research, you know, independently funded by major medical schools, and that's what my doctor told me about 7 years ago. And that really looks at the end results on tissues, on organ systems, and it's working. So what we're going to start talking about now is really one of the master regulators of our body's own cytoprotective response, and that is called NRF2. It's a bunch of long words strung together. Just suffice it to say NRF2. Sounds like the little football. But this is a master regulator of the detoxification, antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and other cytoprotective mechanisms. It has been discovered, it was discovered in 1994, and since then, thousands of studies have been written on it, and Washington State University back in 2015 did a meta-analysis of all the literature on it, and their conclusion was, we may well be on the verge of a new literature on the health effects of NRF2, which may become the most extraordinary therapeutic and most extraordinary preventive breakthrough in the history of medicine. That's saying quite a lot, isn't it? So there are lots of NRF2 activators. NRF2, if you could name anything, and I challenge you to name anything that's good for you. Think of green tea, think of probiotics, think of wasabi, cold therapy, exercise, gosh, you know, turmeric, anything you can name that you know is good for you, other than, you know, mother's love. Okay, that may be the only exception. Maybe it's an NRF2 activator, but pretty much, I challenge you to come up with something you can take or do that you know and that has a lot of scientific backing that is good for you, and it's not an NRF2 activator. They're pretty much all NRF2 activators, but they're not equal. So think of NRF2 as a rheostat. It's not a light switch on and off. It's a rheostat. It can be turned on a little bit, or it can be turned on a lot. And the natural way of turning it on is your body turns it on, and then your body turns it off. It's called pulsatile, and that's natural. That's what exercise does. That's what broccoli does. That's what we're talking about here with this breakthrough. Now, there are lots of them, as I said. Sulforaphane is a compound in broccoli that has been described as the, you know, it's the gold standard for NRF2 activators, for natural NRF2 activators, because it's pretty much it's the most potent single ingredient NRF2 activator known. And you can see it on that bottom right graph. It activates, it turns up the rheostat maybe 25%. And that does amazing things. There's all kinds of published peer-reviewed studies on the benefits of taking sulforaphane for all kinds of health conditions. There's a couple of drugs illustrated in these slides, but we're not going to talk about any medical processes, because this is a natural supplement. It's not intended to treat, cure, mitigate, prevent any disease. But I want you to notice that rheostat is turned all the way up with Protandim. That is the NRF2 synergizer, and the reason for that is the synergy. There are 5 ingredients that have been used in human health for centuries that come together in this blend that has patents. In fact, ABC News heard about this. They heard that it can reduce oxidative stress by 40% on average in 30 days, and they were pretty much in disbelief. And if you think about, typically when ABC Primetime or NBC, what is it, NBC, I forget the name of that show, but 2020, you know, those shows, they come and do an expose on a something. They hear about something and they show up at the door. Usually the CEO is running out the back door with this briefcase over his head. But in this case, this company really wanted to get the word out what this was doing. So they actually welcomed John Quinones. He's a multi-time Emmy Award-winning journalist. And they actually used his blood in their study. And they found that, you know what? His oxidative stress came down 45% in 12 days. And why is that? It's because there's a blend of these 5 ingredients that, and I'll just name some of them. They're, you know, turmeric, milk thistle, ashwagandha, bacopa, and green tea. These are things you probably have in your kitchen. You probably use them every day anyway. But they each do a little bit, and in this patented blend together, they actually turn on that NRF2 pathway, as you saw, very, very much so. It's the most potent NRF2 activator known. And why is it important? What does it do? Okay, well, we've just talked about it being the master regulator of the body's cytoprotective response, or cellular protection. How does it do it? Well, it actually codes for the production of the survival genes, things like SOD, catalase, and glutathione. These are, SOD is that antioxidant enzyme that will neutralize 1 million free radicals. Rachel, if you go to the next slide, I think that has on there, it neutralizes 1 million free radicals a second after second, versus direct antioxidants, which you can take, you know, like blueberries or acai or pomegranate. Those neutralize 1 free radical for every 1 antioxidant molecule, and you pee it out. You're done with it, one and done. But these enzymes that your body produces, they do it over and over and over again until your body replaces it. And so the ingredients themselves are fantastic, but the actual enzymes that they induce your body to produce are fabulous. Catalase deficiency causes gray hair. Glutathione is a master regulator of the body's, is a master detoxification pathway, phase 1, phase 2 liver detoxification. And the ingredients by themselves are great, but together there is a synergy. It's an 18-fold synergy, or 1800%. So you can take ashwagandha, bacopa, green tea, milk thistle, and turmeric or curcumin, and it will not induce the body's production of these enzymes the way that Protandim does. That's why it has 7 US patents and 5 international patents. So there is a definite reason for this being unique. And if you look at the actually what it does, is it really reduces that age-related increase in oxidative stress. It completely eliminates it. So basically, as we get older, we're exposed to more and more of those things that we talked about earlier: the fumes, the chemicals in the water, the oxidation from the food that we eat, and the air that we breathe. And so that's why when you get older, you start to have things like gray hair and wrinkles and aches and pains and things that you didn't have when you were younger. Well, when you activate these enzymes, these antioxidant, anti-inflammatory enzymes, and you turn down the pro-inflammatory pathways through this NRF2 activation, that whole age-related increase in oxidative stress just goes away. And that's profound. That is huge. So that is why the Protandim NRF2 Synergizer is really something that's doing something nothing else does. So it lowers oxidative stress by an average of 40% in 30 days. It reduces cellular stress, and it does it by NRF2 activation. These enzymes are, millions of times more effective than direct antioxidants. It regulates hundreds of survival genes. It helps the body repair and rejuvenate its own cells, helps cellular turnover so that the new cells that are being replaced are healthier than the ones that just, were done away with. And interestingly, the National Institute on Aging, which is a subsidiary of the National Institutes of Health, just a couple of years ago published a study stating that it's the only natural supplement proven to extend healthy lifespan in a mammal. So if you look at the PubMed, which is PubMed.gov, pub for public, med for medical.gov for government, our tax dollars at work, type in the word Protandim, the branded supplement. There are 23 peer-reviewed or published studies on PubMed, on the actual branded product. Now, if you look at oxidative stress, there are, 178,000 peer-reviewed published studies on oxidative stress and the impact that it has. And what is oxidative stress? Well, we've been talking about it. It's related to everything that goes wrong after age 20, typically: macular degeneration, cardiac disease, diabetes, aging, skin aging, immune dysfunction, mitochondrial dysfunction, Alzheimer's, all the things you don't want to get: asthma, cancer. Now, we're not saying that taking this will prevent or delay or mitigate or whatever, any of these diseases, but oxidative stress increased oxidative stress is linked to all those things. So doesn't it make sense that you might want to reduce it, especially in today's environment that we live in? All right, so gonna basically reiterate that quote that was done at the at the Washington State University. Martin Pall, a very, very distinguished researcher's quote. Again, it's astounding to me. It's potentially the most extraordinary preventative and most extraordinary therapeutic breakthrough in the history of medicine. So again, I love this slide. It illustrates what is the gold standard for this NRF2 activation. It's sulforaphane. That is the extract, the compound within broccoli, one of the two main beneficial compounds in broccoli, and it's called the gold standard NRF2 activator. And just look at the difference in the graphs in terms of that rheostat. You know, broccoli, sulforaphane turns it up a little bit. Protandim activates those survival genes in a much better, more elegant way, and that is why these products are changing everything. So the company's mission is really to biohack the aging code. So we're looking at anti-aging, we're looking at energy, skincare, weight management, and we're taking it really to the next level. So one of the ways that we do it is through NRF2 with cellular repair, cellular oxidation, protection. The other pathway that's so critical, think about oxidation. Where does the energy come from? It comes from these powerhouses in your cell called the mitochondria. They're the factory that produces the energy. What else are they producing? Well, when you produce energy, you produce exhaust, smoke, waste, whatever you want to call it. And what is that? That's damaging. What is right next to that damaging exhaust? The very energy producing factories, the mitochondria. Their mitochondrial membranes are being bombarded by these exhaust damaging compounds, these free radicals. And so mitochondria damage occurs. When that happens, the mitochondria, number one, don't produce as much energy. Number two, they get damaged. And so once they hit a certain point of being damaged, they're destroyed by the body through apoptosis. So you have less functional mitochondria, you have fewer mitochondria, and then the next thing that happens is they produce more exhaust as they become damaged. So they're producing less power, more exhaust, and then they get to a certain point and they're just killed off. So you have fewer and fewer mitochondria. No wonder lack of energy is the most common reason people go to see their doctor. Those are 2 points, oxidative stress and mitochondrial function. The other 2 pillars of cellular vitality are gut health and cellular membrane or neuronal health. Now, we all know the gut, as Hippocrates said, all health begins in the gut, or disease begins in the gut. The gut-brain connection is phenomenally important. There's basically a 4-pound organ in our intestines called the microbiome that is responsible for producing neurotransmitters and antioxidant enzymes. They produce these little buggers produce glutathione, they produce serotonin, they produce they produce all kinds of things, and that gut-brain connection is truly a real connection. And when you have a feeling in your gut, I mean, it's you listen to your gut. I mean, there's all these old sayings that actually, in our infinite wisdom of the ancients, we all know that the gut, that it really is our second brain. So it's really important that we keep replacing the good microbes, the beneficial microbes, because if you drink anything with artificial sweeteners or eat anything with artificial sweeteners, if you drink alcohol, it's going to damage these things. And then the omegas, again, we eat an inflammatory diet. So you want to actually replace your beneficial anti-inflammatory omega-3s and omega-6s. So the Vitality Stack takes care of all of that. It's just the 1, 2, 3, 4 pillars, the core 4 for cellular health and vitality. It's not available in all markets. But I love the fact that this company didn't just stop with that. They actually have a whole array of products that address brain fog, brain function, healthy weight management, the skin. I mean, it's basically Protandim for your skin. It's your largest organ. They're a beautiful combination. And they're all synergistic. They work together, and they really address all these things from a unique and completely scientifically vetted way. And it's just such a pleasure to be involved with such a forward-thinking company, really at the forefront of nutrigenomics. So thank you, Rachel, for allowing me the opportunity to speak about the biohacking and next level LifeVantage. Thank you.
Sean, it gets me excited every time that I hear you describe it, because I remember learning about oxidative stress when I was, 18, 19 years old, getting into nutrition. And back then, the only thing to do was, you eat your spinach and you eat your blueberries, and, even exercising too much like you were causes more oxidative stress. And when I saw that ABC Primetime report, not as a doctor, but just as a consumer, I remember turning to my husband and saying, I need to take this product for the rest of my life. And I'm so grateful that we have, and seeing where the company is going with creating scientifically backed, patented, proven products that are affordable for the masses. I love the fact that they're bringing, really results without them being too costly for our loved ones and for your patients and things like that. So thank you, Sean. Next I'm going to bring on an osteopath, Dr. Jean DeLucia, who is hailing from Florida. I see that fish in the right-hand corner. Good job. He's a board certified in family medicine. He's received his Bachelor of Science degree in biology from Kent University and his DO degree at Kirksville College of Osteopathic Medicine. He completed his rotating internship at the Suncoast Hospital and has spent nearly 4 decades in family medicine, focusing on physical, internal, and family medicine, and primarily weight loss and anti-aging. But, Dr. Jean's passion is really helping people live longer, not only put more years on the end of their life, but put more life into those years. And he's got a great story here at LifeVantage. Even met his beautiful wife at the company. Pretty crazy story. Now, Dr. Jean, you also, you're perfect for this conversation, because I know there's many doctors here watching and different health practitioners. And you had a very interesting clinical experience bringing this to thousands of your patients. Talk to us a little bit about your journey and the clinical evidence that you saw with LifeVantage.
Well, thank you, Rachel, for having me. And yes, when I saw ABC News video that they did on Protandim about 7.5 years ago, actually my UPS driver showed it to me. He got past my front office. He plopped his laptop down in front of me. He says, "You got to watch this." When I did, I thought, wow, I want to know more. Because when I saw that graph that showed you could lower your oxidative stress to that of a newborn, I'm thinking, I want that. I want to know how this works. So I really went home and looked at all the research I could find on it. I got on PubMed. I put in the.
And Dr. Jean, they're saying you're a little hard to hear, so definitely speak up and come closer. They don't want to miss a word.
How was that? Is that better?
Yes, much better. Thank you.
So yeah, I went home and looked research. I wanted to see the research that was done on it. I needed to know what NRF2 was. I didn't know what that was. I knew oxidative stress, but we're not taught herbs in school. I was taught very similarly to Sean. We're taught Western medicine, so we're taught to diagnose disease, and we can treat it a few ways. I can become a surgeon and cut it out, or I can give you a pill and put a Band-Aid on it. But we really are not really taught to look at the cause of the disease or to reverse those diseases. Because when I give you a pill for your diabetes or your heart disease or your gout, it's not to cure the problem, it's to treat an endpoint. So I got very frustrated. As I got older and my patient population got older, I'm passing out more and more pills, and I wasn't enjoying it. I was having to take them myself because I was getting diseases too, those diseases of aging, more and more oxidative stress and inflammation. So I saw that video. When I looked at the research, I came back and said, yeah, I want this. I want this for myself, for my family, my parents, my family, my friends, and for my patients. That's really where I started. I was amazed, because when I got this on myself and I gave it to my patients, I had a chance to track everybody. So I really did everything I could. When I first started the patient on it, we had a little questionnaire we asked them to fill out. It was a 1 to 10 scale, best to worst. Things like pain, fatigue, energy, sleep, stamina, those type of things. We did it when they started. We did it at 90 days. We did it at 180 days. And everybody's numbers improved. 100%. I did all their lab work. Everything I could check, I checked that the insurance companies would pay for. Their lipid profiles, their hemoglobin A1Cs to check for their sugar, their liver kidney functions, their inflammatory markers. I did everything I could when they started. again, we did it about 3 to 6 months out. We did it a year out. I saw improvement in everyone. It literally changed the way we practice medicine because I saw people improve with their health. I got people off their medications, myself included. Within a year, I was off all 4 medicines I was taking, and I don't take any now. So I was pretty amazed by something natural because we're not taught those things. When I found out what NRF2 activation was, and I started using it myself and my family, my friends, I was very, very impressed with it. So, and I continue to be impressed. I was not interested in the business. I wasn't going to do that part of it until I started really looking at the business. My biggest phobia in life was public speaking. So I thought, well, there's no way I'm going to stand up in front of people and talk. And I guess I've overcome that. It's a personal growth and development thing. But my belief is greater than ever because of the results we've seen. I can tell you 100 stories of people that are just, whose lives have changed. Spent the afternoon with a couple today that just got done traveling through Europe. She was in a wheelchair 4 years ago. So it's just rewarding. It's very, very rewarding what we do. This is rewarding. This is something that, this is the reason I went into medicine, to help people actually get healthier. And that's what we've got. We've got a hold of something that's exciting. It's new. People don't know about it yet. Doctors don't know about it yet. For me, when I actually did the business also, I didn't need the money. I didn't need another job. I had 3 clinics going. I was very, very busy. I wanted time. I was burnt out. I was working for the weekends. I wanted my time freedom. That's really what I wanted. And better health. Well, I got all those things. I got my time freedom because by the time this started growing, I started in 2010. By 2014, I'd sold all my clinics. So I got my time freedom. I got better health. I got off all my medications. I got financial freedom with residual income. I also met my significant other, my life partner, through LifeVantage. So it has changed my life in a number of ways.
Now, Jean, I know that like any health professional, you're one of the first to get hit up with any product to say, hey, I got the magic potion, I got the magic lotion, this miracle juice that you got to put all your patients on, right? I mean, I've even gotten like the messages. And so I can imagine how much inundation you got over 30 plus years before Protandim. And I got to ask, what was that little thing that made you feel like, okay, I've got to take it? Was the ABC clip? Did you just do all the research? Did you just try a few people first on it just to test it? What was that thing that just pushed you over the edge and said, you know what, my reputation is going on this product and I want to get it in everybody's bodies?
Well, it was the science, Rachel. I'm an evidence-based doctor. I want to see evidence. I love testimonials, but I want to see proof. I was born in Missouri, so show me. I want to see it. And I did. That's what happened to me. I went out and looked at the science behind this. I looked at the research that had been done on it at the time. I think we had 3 published studies. We now have over 20 published medical studies, peer-reviewed and independent of the company. That's the biggest deal to me. When the American Heart Association pays for and publishes a study on your product, do you know how many companies would love that? When the National Institute of Health, the National Institute on Aging, studies done independently at LSU, at Ohio State University, at University of Florida, on and on and on. It's impressive what we have. So we don't study a lot of herbs in this country. So when I started to see that, I thought, wow, this is a big deal. And that's really what sold me. I had to look at it. I had to prove to myself in my mind this was the real thing. My reputation was on the line, and I didn't push things on people at all. I made recommendations, but when I saw this and how it worked, I really started recommending people use this. And when I saw the results, I really got a huge belief in it. So that's really where I started. I saw that video. That's really what set me on my journey. If I had not seen that, I probably would never have, really looked at this. But the timing was right. I was looking. I was burnt out from what I was doing, as a lot of doctors are now. And this was just something that came along because I really believe in the law of attraction. I think if you put it out to the universe, it'll come to you.
It's so amazing to watch how your life is transformed. I mean, decades of service to people in more in the allopathic community, and now giving back with LifeVantage, building. Guys, by the way, all of these 3 speakers have built up to now,